Hey y'all, it's Justin here in the Delish Kitchen Studios. For a long time, birria was kind of that like enormously famous viral sensation. You couldn't get on TikTok without seeing like 8 videos of different birria recipes and dipping videos, and for good reason. So I'm gonna teach you a basic recipe. And once you learn this, you can apply it to all different types of things. We're gonna be making quesadillas, but you could make ramen, pizza, nachos, whatever you want. Let's get into it. I developed this recipe a little while back with the help of one of New York City's premier birria chefs, Jose Moreno from Birrialandia. He was super helpful in educating me. I'd had a lot of birria, but I needed to know the ins and outs, so I want to give him a huge shout out just in the beginning of this. The backbone of birria is dried chilies, which is funny because it's not a very spicy dish. What birria highlights is the incredible earthy, floral, fruity flavors that come from dried chilies. And it's all about balancing what types of flavors are getting from different types, because not all dried chilies are built the same. Some are super spicy, some aren't, and these are mostly mild and bring a couple things to the table. We're working with 3 chilies here. The primary one is gonna be guajillos. These are very common dried chilies in Mexico, and they're very commonly used in birria. The reason we're using these is because they're going to impart a little bit of sweetness, a bit of fruitiness, and some like floral notes as well. It's really nice. We're also gonna be using pasilla peppers. These are actually dried poblanos. So if you've had poblanos, you know they're not super spicy. And when they're dried in this way, they end up becoming almost like chocolatey. It kind of smells like mole or chocolate. It's really, really, really delicious. The last ones we're gonna be using are morita peppers, which are just dried and smoked jalapenos. These are gonna be the only ones that bring a little bit of heat. They're also gonna bring a little bit of smoke. Dried chilies are similar to whole spices in that the best way to get the most flavor out of them is to toast them. So get them into a large Dutch oven over medium heat. We're gonna toast them for like 2 to 3 minutes until your whole house should smell like dried chilies. Everyone should know that you're making birria today when they walk in. These are nice and toasty and pliable, you can tell. So I'm gonna get them into a bowl, and then we are going to cover them with water, boiling water. That's gonna help to really soften them up, and again, help to bloom those flavors and create like a chili tea that we're gonna use in the sauce. It's gonna sit for 20 minutes until it's like totally soaked through and hydrated. Birria is typically made with goat, which I really love, but I understand that that can be a problem for some people. So this recipe is for beef, and what cuts of beef really matter. The first cut you're gonna wanna focus on is something bone in. That's gonna be your oxtails, your short ribs, your beef shank. That bone is gonna impart a ton of beefiness and richness and flavor. Next, we want something that is gonna be like the bulk of the meat of the dish. Still flavorful, still important for it to be high quality, but it's a little less important that it be bone on. So these are where like something like if you wanna spend a little bit more money, brisket would be awesome. That's what we have here, but you could use like a beef chuck roast as well. Like any good braise, we're gonna brown this off first, but before we even do that, we gotta season this pretty heavily with a lot of salt and pepper. Get on all the sides, get in all the nicks and crannies, really do your due diligence here. You don't want something that is under-seasoned. To sear off this meat, you're gonna have to work in batches, but you can use as big of a Dutch oven as you want. We're gonna have a bunch in here, about 2 pounds. So into your Dutch oven, we're gonna go in with some neutral oil over medium-high heat. Add in your meat, basically brown all the edges. You want a good, nice sear for this. Developing color on the outside, all your meat now is going to help you in the future. Especially with something like short ribs like we're using here, they have a lot of dimensions and sides that you can get to, so we wanna amplify the amount of caramelization we can get on them. The brisket's nice and browned and these short ribs look amazing. I'm gonna take them off the heat. Do not clean this pan. All that like brown goodness is in there, and we're gonna want that in our birria, so definitely do not clean this before we move on. But our chilies have been soaking, and I think we're ready to make the base of our sauce. We just did the brunt of the work. Now we're just gonna blend together all of these ingredients into a luscious paste, pour it over our meat with some water, and then get it braised. And that's literally all we have to do. So we have our soaked chilies. These have been going for about 20 minutes. They're nice and pliable. We're gonna get them in here along with about 1.5 cups of that chili liquid. As I said before, it's kind of like a chili tea. It's gonna impart even more of that flavor. We're also gonna add tomatoes, a bunch of garlic, cumin seeds, oregano, cinnamon, bay leaves, and some cloves. You wanna blend it until it's a thick but pourable paste. You might need to add a little bit more of that chili liquid if you need to. This smells amazing. It would be crazy. I could see myself drinking this and I'd be very, very happy. It's not very spicy smelling, but it does smell like chilies, like a punch you in the face big thing of chilies. That's exactly what we want here. So we're gonna go into our pot with our meat that has been seared off, put everything on in there, cover it with our chili paste mixture, And then you wanna add enough water just to cover all of the meat. It's gonna reduce down a lot during cooking, which is good, but we want enough water in there so that everything stays hydrated and you have enough left so we have that consommé, that dipping sauce at the end of cooking. We're gonna put in a quartered onion. That's just gonna add a little bit more extra aromatics in here. Let it float on in. We're gonna wanna add a big pinch of salt here. We want this to be well seasoned and this is the perfect time to do it. And then we're gonna bring everything to a simmer. We're gonna top this up and put it in a 350-degree oven for about 4 to 4.5 hours. You wanna cook this until the meat is falling apart tender. I have a little secret though. I made a batch of this birria last night and then it's in this oven right down here. It has been cooking away. It has been making this kitchen smell incredible. I have not looked at this in a couple hours. I'm very excited. Wait for this steam reveal. Oh yeah. This looks amazing and it smells even better. You know that the meat is gonna be fully cooked to a perfect doneness when you can reach into your oxtail or your short rib and the bone comes out this clean. This is perfect. It was in there for about like 4 hours and 25 minutes. I can put these tongs into this brisket and start like shredding it like that. That's how you know. So we're gonna transfer just the meat to a large bowl. We're gonna start shredding it up. You can toss any of the remaining onion that's in there. Get it nice and shredded, and we're gonna hold on to that liquid, and then we're gonna make these quesadilla tacos. I've made myself a little station. We have the shredded beef. We have a little bit of that consommé, the liquid that I separated and strained out, and now it looks gorgeous. There's like a beautiful layer of dark red fat on top of it, and we're gonna utilize that in the cooking of these quesadillas. They're like small quesadillas. The process is pretty straightforward. On half of the skillet, you're gonna add about 1/3 of a cup of beef. You could add a little bit of fat from the pot or just a little bit of vegetable oil. We just wanna crisp it up a little bit. Then you're gonna take a tortilla and kind of gently wave it through the fat on top of the consommé in that pot. Then we're gonna add that to the skillet. We're gonna add a little bit of cheese. You could use mozzarella or a Mexican blend. That would be maybe the most like easy to find, but if you can find it, I love using Oaxaca cheese. It kind of looks like this crazy little ball. It is basically Mexican mozzarella, super delicious, and it kind of tears like string cheese. It makes me feel like I'm a kid. It comes apart in these little strings, and it's very fun to play with, but it's also really, really delicious. That cheese is gonna melt, and once the beef is browned and seared, you're gonna put the beef on top of our melted cheese, add a little bit of onion, a little cilantro, fold over the tortilla, and then just cook until we're nice and crisped up and you're done. You can serve them up with some lime wedges, a little bit more onion and cilantro. Don't you dare think about serving these without a cup of consommé. That is half of the effort right there. It's super luscious and delicious and filled with all that chili flavor. Not only are you gonna wanna eat it with a spoon, but you should be dunking everything in it. Everything on the table should be going into that cup. It's been many hours. This is burning hot. I'm doing a good dip. Oh my God, I'm psyched. There's a restaurant in New York called 5 Napkin Burger. Like you have to use 5 napkins to get into it. This should be called 20 napkin birria. You should be having juice dripping down your face, down your arms while you're snacking. You should be sipping on this cup of consommé. It is so delectable. And that consommé, it's like, it truly just like so big, bright flavors. I understand why everyone is so obsessed with this. It's warming. It is like definition comfort food. So delicious. All right, y'all. I hope that you feel a little bit more confident that you can make something that has become so famous on the internet. So for this and more viral recipes, stick around here on Delish.com.